Good afternoon. My name's Kevin Dunn. I'm the Programme Manager for HDR UK Midlands. I also lead one of the groups who support research across the college, the Multi-Sector Networks pillar. And we're part of the Research Programmes and Infrastructure team, and that's part of the Research Knowledge Transfer Office at MDS, so the College of Medical and Dental Scientists. Today I'm going to talk about organising a webinar. I've been organising events throughout my career for most of my career. Most of these used to be face-to-face events. Kind of before COVID, we started to introduce hybrid, where you'd have a load of people in a room, and then you'd have people joining that particular meeting via Zoom or Skype. And we had a lot of technical difficulties before. So, for example, people in the room were fine, but then people who were dialing in remotely wouldn't be able to hear, for example, the discussion that was happening in the room, because we didn't have owls and we didn't really have the tools that we've got now. But COVID really changed everything, and as you all remember, we went from face-to-face working in the office to remote working, but we had to continue with business as usual. And we in the Midlands at the University of Birmingham, we managed the National Better Care theme for HDR UK, and we just recruited 2 new sites, which was in the north and the southwest of England. And part of what we were doing was learning from each other, but we couldn't meet physically because of all the restrictions. So we set this whole national scientific priority up remotely, and we brought people together through Zoom. And from being terrified of using it before COVID, we all quickly learned that Zoom is normal, it's the future, and we just kind of got on with it. So a lot of my talk today is going to be experience of organising webinars throughout COVID and also more recently with the new iteration of our regional network. So we've got COVID to thanks for some of this. So I'm going to talk about a science webinar. Well, actually, it's not a science webinar, it's any webinar. If anybody's got to put on a webinar, this talk will be helpful, and it'll be a template that hopefully that you guys can use. But a webinar is an engaging online event. It usually involves a large audience, and we use these interactive tools to interact with that particular group. So that's the idea of what it is that we're trying to put on. And I know that your directors might say, oh, can you organise a webinar? And that thought might be quite terrifying, that you've got to do this, and like, where do you start, and how do you do this successfully? So hopefully my talk will help with that, and that you'll be given a framework that you can use to do your own great webinars. So my talk's going to go into kind of a cycle, because obviously there's a planning phase to a webinar. There's a doing phase, which is, okay, we're doing the webinar now. And then obviously post-event is an important phase as well. But this is a learning cycle. It's a cycle of continuous learning and improvement. And from each webinar that we've ever done, we've obviously took the learning from that and embedded that into our next one. So you're constantly getting better at doing this, and you will understand and appreciate this when you do your own events. So the planning phase, the most important, I would say, and you know the famous saying, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So what I'd suggest is, first of all, choose a theme. So you've got a main theme, and then you've got sub-themes. So our main theme might be artificial intelligence, and sub-themes to that might be machine learning, text mining, or natural language processing. Another main theme you might want to look at is EDI, equality, diversity and inclusion. And under that, you might have health inequalities, you might have diversity or lack of diversity within the profession, or you could have capacity building and learning as a theme. Or you could look at how do we use data to improve care, frontline delivery of clinical care. And that could be sub-themes such as clinical decision making when you've got a patient in front of you, coding, how we code data and standardise how we collect it, or it might be developing a workforce for the future. Other themes could be such as exercising to lose weight. You could have training at home, you could have classes at the gym, or hiking with a group. You could use recruiting patients to trials, advertising your trial on social media, the process of receiving informed consent from a patient, or overcoming language barriers when talking to ethnic minorities about research. To put it simply, your theme might be I want to do a journey to the moon, and that could be getting to the moon, not becoming bored when you're on the moon, or how the hell do you get back from the moon? I'm not mental, I promise you. So the main thing about doing your themes and your sub themes is so that you can then start to plan your program, because you can have main themes and sub themes, and then what you can do is link your different talks as to whether they're part of a sub theme or a main theme. So that's the reason why I'm suggesting that you think about your theme and your sub themes. And then the next thing you need to do is choose a date. I reckon you're going to probably need 2 to 3 months in advance, if I'm honest, because there's a lot involved. It was only by putting this talk together that I realised how much there was involved in doing these webinars. So give yourself plenty of time, that's what I'm suggesting. Because you need to develop your programme, you've got to invite and confirm speakers, you've got to organise the registration, promote your event, think about the slides and the content, post-event evaluation. But the main thing you need to do when you're choosing a date is, number one, make sure the key people are available and can make that date that you want to do your webinar. Remember, people are very busy, their diaries do get full, so give yourself plenty of time. And also, clinical staff need at least 6 weeks notice. So if you're targeting doctors, nurses, or other allied healthcare professionals, well, nobody's going to come unless it's at least 6 weeks in advance. So that's what I'd suggest when choosing your date. I mean, the other thing just to note on choosing a date is just see if there's anything else big and important happening on the date, because you don't want a competing event. Then get on with drafting your program. So think about, is it a full day webinar? Is it half a day? Is it part of a series of webinars? Think about your title and your strapline. So make sure that it attracts people. When they see the title or your strapline, they'll understand what event it is. Think about who's going to welcome the people. Think about your main session, your main theme. Think about sub themes and how you can group these talks. Think about whether you want breaks. Breaks are going to be important, particularly if it's a whole day or half a day. Interactive opportunities, because a webinar should be interactive, and a lot of the feedback that we've had from doing webinars is that people want them more interactive. Sponsorship, think about other organisations or networks or other research programs that might want to sponsor it. Not necessarily that you need any money, because to put on a webinar is free. But if you get somebody to sponsor it, you might then be able to use their social media channels to get more people to come to your event. So think about maybe doing things in partnership with other research programs or networks. Also, get your speaker biographies, because it's good so people understand who's talking at the webinar. And it's a good opportunity to give your early career researchers an opportunity to talk. You know, think about the talent that's coming through the system. Give them short lightning talks. It's good for them to get some good for them to get some exposure and experience in doing these things. So, you know, more junior people in the career. And also, I think you should think about EDI, particularly when you're choosing your speakers. I mean, you don't want loads of grumpy old white blokes doing all the talking. Maybe you want to think about age and gender and ethnicity, and make it a diverse bunch of speakers, people who are at different parts of their career ladder. Because I think you've got an opportunity to make your webinar more colourful and more rich and more beautiful by embracing that diversity. So you've planned your programme. Now it's time to write to the potential speakers. Now, who's the best person to write to them? Is it me? Is it my director? Is it my mate? So think about who knows people who could write to them and ask them to speak at your webinar. But what you want to be saying is you'd be delighted if they could speak at our event, talk about how many people you're expecting, for example 300 people from across the globe. Here's a draft copy of the agenda so they can see what it looks like and who else has been invited. Do say that you're able to be flexible. based on their availability, because it might be that they can come, but they can only come at 3 o'clock. So then you could tweak the agenda to make sure that they could still be included. And emphasize why it's important for your project or your program or your region or your society, and ask them to confirm at their earliest convenience. So what do you use? Do you use Zoom? Do you use Teams? Do you use Skype? Do you use WebEx? Well, I think it'll be either Zoom or Teams. To be honest, there ain't much difference, whatever you want to use. Zoom has some benefits over Teams. Teams has some benefits over Zoom. I'm going to talk about some of the differences here. So Zoom, your ULB meeting license will cover 300 people or 300 participants joining. You can have more than that. If you ask IT for a webinar license, you can go 500 plus. I do find Zoom has better quality audio visual, if I'm honest. So I think it is better quality. You can also chat privately to others, and sometimes that's good, because if you want to message one of the speakers, or if you want to message one of the other organisers, you can do through private chat within Zoom. You can use chat Q&A functions for the interaction, and NHS staff, some NHS staff can have difficulties accessing Zoom. So one of our speakers recently, their IT department had just blocked Zoom completely. She was due to do a talk. She just could not access it. So I had to meet with her the day before. She did a talk to me, I recorded it, and then we had to live stream that at the actual webinar. Teams is great. It's becoming much more prominent. We're using it a lot more across the university. You can have up to 1,000 participants. The quality of the AV can be patchy. I've had some issues this morning just getting my camera working. There's no private chat to others. The good thing about Teams is that the chat and the recording can be available directly afterwards to everybody automatically, and sometimes that can be a good thing. So what would I suggest? I don't think it really matters. Probably Zoom would edge it for me. But again, think about your audience just in case somebody can't access that. So you've got to the point now where you're ready to create the event in Outlook. So create it in your Outlook calendar, put the subject, the date, time, whether it's Zoom or Teams, put the link in, put all the details and the highlights. And then do say, if you're not able to attend, please let us know, because we have got a limit on the numbers that can join. And it'd be awful if you had a massive waiting list and on the day not lots of people turned up. So do try and stress people that if they can't attend, they let us know so that we can give their place to somebody else. And then it comes to promoting your events. So there's lots of different ways you can do that. So you could do a direct email to all of your contacts to say, here's our event, here's a registration link for you to sign up. Get in touch with the ULB marketing and comms teams. They can help. They can set up an event page on the university website. They can share it on the college social media, include it in the internal newsletter, etc. You can also promote it via your speakers, because they've obviously got quite good networks that they can promote it as well, via your sponsorship organisation. I think that's a really good thing to do. Also, if you've got your own social media channels, you can promote your event. And what you want to do is every time that you do send something out, encourage those people to share it with their colleagues and their networks. And you know what? A traditional poster in the coffee room still works. You could put a QR code for people to register. So that can also get your numbers up. But what you want to be doing along this process is monitoring your registrations, look at how they're going, continue promoting it, maybe weekly or regularly, and use things like, we've got 1 week to go until our whatever, or it might be last few places remaining at our. So there's things that you can do to get the numbers up. So you need to do a participant registration. Eventbrite, as you know, they've started charging. You can use forms, Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, even Zoom will let you set up a registration for that particular event on their platform. My wonderful colleague Leah Fitzsimmons has done a wonderful presentation on how to use Microsoft Forms for events. So that video and recording is also available. But really what you want to do is set your form up and think about the minimum data that you need. So somebody's name, their organisation, their email address. And it's good to ask, could we keep your details for the future? Because then when you're doing your next lot of webinars, you've got more people that you can reach out to. And obviously that then complies with GDPR, and there is a ULB GDPR statement that you can use. And what you want at the back end is this spreadsheet where you can literally highlight these email addresses, and then you can send the email confirmation to the people. So forward it as an iCalendar, use the BCC field so that different participants can't see who you're sending it out to. Highlight and copy the list of email addresses and drop that directly into the BCC field. And what your email needs to say is, thanks for registering, attaches the iCalendar, which if you double click that, it'll go straight into your calendar. Here are the joining instructions, i.e. the link. The webinar will be recorded. We're going to post the videos on YouTube or wherever it is you might want to publish them. Do say if you're no longer able to attend, please let us know so that you can take them off and that place can be given to somebody else. And if again, if any other colleagues would like to join, they can register via this particular link. Don't ever put the live link out on social media, because then you're opening it up to rogues and trolls and Zoom bombers, which I will talk about a bit more down my dog. You've got to email the confirmation to the speakers, and what you want to be saying is, thanks so much for agreeing to speak at our really important webinar. Here's the draft programme. Please can you review it, look at your name, your presentation title, and let me know of any changes. If they could send you a biography and a picture, that'd be good as well, because you can include that. You need to think about slide transitions, whether you're going to do it centrally, i.e. everybody sends me all their slides and I put it into one master slide deck, or whether you want people to do their own navigation of slides. Because if you're doing it centrally, then they need to keep saying to you, next slide, please, you know, that kind of Chris Whitty thing. And the problem with that is, if you've got lots of slide transitions within a slide, they're like, and again, and could you press it again? And could you press it again? Oh no, you've gone too far. Can you go back one? So even though the intent might be, if you have all the slides presented centrally, it can be more professional. Actually, on the day, I found that it's not. So I've moved away from presenting everything and navigating it centrally to actually they can present their own slides and they can navigate their own slides on the day. I think that works better. If the webinar is going to be recorded, mention that, where you're going to put the videos. If people could send you a copy of the slides, that'd always be good. You've got them there as a backup if there's a problem with their computer. Also, you can have a PDF of the slides to send out to the participants afterwards. Obviously, check that with the speakers. Ask them to test the webinar platform, so just make sure they can access Zoom or Teams or whatever it is you're using. And the main thing I want to say in this email is tell them to stick to the timings, to review the timings and make sure that they don't go over. And this is critical. It really is, because this is the difference between a webinar that doesn't go very well because it either runs massively or it runs well and efficiently. So then you've got an option to sort the settings out, whether it's Team or Zoom, but you can set a meeting password, which I'd recommend, so anybody can't just get in. It's automatic anyway with Zoom and Teams generally. Think about whether you want a lobby or a waiting room. Sometimes you do. It's more professional that you can let everybody in at the same time. I don't think it really matters. I don't use the lobby or the waiting room, I just let people join. But I do mute everybody on entry and turn their videos off. Think about who can present, who's able to share screen. Do you want the chat function? Do you want the Q&A function? Are you going to be recording it? Think about alternative hosts or co-hosts. Really important. Don't you be the one person who can do everything. You will need help on the day, if I'm honest. So get 2, 3 of you to be managing it and decide who's going to do what. And then an attendance report, you've got the option to switch that on or off. So consider interactive tools and functions. To be honest, we only really use Q&A for a lot of the stuff that we do on Zoom, but you do have the option to do breakout rooms. You can do different workshops, set people stuff to do, make it more interactive. The surveys, the polls, the quizzes, a lot of these tools now are integrated into Teams and Zoom, so it's just about playing with them. But then there are external ones that you can use, such as Slido or Mentimeter, and there's lots more out there on the net. So to that end, let's give this a whirl, because this is an interactive webinar. So everybody get your mobile phones, put your cameras on and scan that QR code. And the question I want to ask you is, if you scan the QR code and click the link, it'll take you through to Slido. Otherwise, you can just go to slido.com and put in that PIN number, which is 2743895. So if you could eat only one food for the rest of your life, what would you choose? Come on, let's do a bit of a poll. So I know what I would like to eat for sure. And let's see what happens. Bit of a test here. Was nobody written salad or olives? Some great things here. Oh yes, chocolate. It's all coming. Wow. Dragon fruit. I think that's healthy. I don't know about all the other stuff. Everything. So that didn't take me long to set up. You register for a Slido account. You can click loads of stuff. All different ways of doing interaction, and it works really well, as you can see. And it works that people have got phones and people can just do it, and it's quick and easy, and it just happens. And this is completely free. Really good stuff. So it's there at your disposal. Moving on. So the other thing I would suggest is do some master slides. So obviously, like a welcome slide, a housekeeping slide. Think about a slide for the break. So your welcome slide, it'll be, hello, welcome, webinar will start at whatever. There's some examples there. You might want a slide just to run through the agenda. A housekeeping slide, so remind people to mute themselves, keep the cameras off. If they want to interact, do they use the Q&A? Do they press the raise hand and we'll bring them in? Are we going to use the chat function? Let everybody know we're recording, and if we are and where we're going to publish those, let them know about the breaks, and also that we're going to evaluate the webinar. A break slide, you want a slide to say we'll resume at whatever time, and a summary slide, you're covering things like, you know, we want you to complete the feedback and the evaluation, a conclusion, maybe acknowledgements, thank yous, and an opportunity to promote any future events. So test dummy run, I'd say do this. Don't do it on the day either, maybe a couple of days before, but just test the AV, test the recording. You and the co-hosts test the Q&A, make sure it all works. If you're using Q&A on Zoom, it's only co-hosts that can answer questions, so remember that. But agree the roles, because you aren't going to be able to do everything single-handedly. Ask people to keep themselves muted. And cameras off, but then people will start just talking, so the co-hosts can mute them and switch the cameras off. Monitor the chat, the Q&A. If you do get any rogues, trolls, Zoom bombers, you and the other people will be able to remove them swiftly, so you and the other co-hosts. Also presentation slides, you know, whether you're going to centrally navigate that, or at least you got it back up. The other thing that I'd say is, even though I've got a PC here and I'm using it, I will also have a laptop as a backup, because if your PC dies and you're coordinating the webinar, at least then I've got my laptop. So if you've got the luxury of having a computer and a laptop, or even two laptops, I would suggest joining the call as a backup as well, so that you've just got that extra bit of functionality. So design your evaluation and feedback survey. You can use SurveyMonkey, MS Forms, Google Forms. It don't really matter what you use. Design it before the event and you test it with colleagues. Circulate a link during the event, because you're going to get more respondents if you circulate the link live during the webinar, particularly I'd say just before the end. So maybe during the last half an hour of the webinar, say, here's our evaluation. Keep it short, because otherwise people won't want to do it. And then email a link to the participants afterwards to remind them if they want to do it, and you can do that as part of the thank you. Keep it really to the information you want to know. So how do you rate the presentations? How did you rate the organisation? How would you rate it overall? What did you like best? How could this be improved if we were doing it again? Would you recommend it to colleagues? That's a good one. And would you attend a future one, and any other kinds? Just keep it really simple. Other things to consider, if you've got external people talking at a University of Birmingham event, there's a code of practice and the freedom of speech. There's loads of stuff on the web about that, but there's a form that needs filling out, and I've put a link at the end of my presentation to that. Think about whether you're going to manage the slide navigation centrally. Next slide, please. We used to do that. I think it's better if you don't, but it's up to you. The risk of overrunning, this can really change the whole dynamic of it, because somebody can overrun and then somebody who's meant to have a lot of time has been squashed into hardly any time. Tell the speakers that how important it is, and to review their presentations to understand how much time they've got. It will need brutal chairing, and there's things you can do. So for example, if I'm the chair, I can say I will turn my camera on when you've got 2 minutes remaining. So when my face pops up on the screen, you will know that then you've got to wrap up and be quicker. You can use the breaks to either skip the breaks or shorten the breaks to get back on track, and that's a really neat thing to do. So I'd say put your breaks in, because then if you are overrunning, it might be that, oh, we're going to just, have 2 minutes instead of 10 minutes, and we'll get back on track. The execution phase, the moment we've all been waiting for. So you've done all the planning, you've got everything ready, you've tested it, everything's sorted. Let's do this. So on the day of the event, log in early, you and the co-host, test it all works, test the AV, re-clarify who's doing what, so you know who's doing what. It might be good to set up a text or a WhatsApp group or an email group, just so you can reply to all, so you guys can communicate with each other while the webinar's happening. I would suggest that you do that. That's really good. And then pull up your welcome slide and set up your backup computer. The webinar itself, relax and enjoy this. It's an opportunity to promote the great work that you're doing. And remember, this is normal now. This is our world, and speakers are used to it. They're really good at, doing their slides 2 minutes before they're ready to present, like I did today. And be prepared to politely intercept. So, when somebody's lips are going, but then you can't, they're muted, so you might need to interject. So just be prepared to do that, and it's fine. And if there are technical issues, which, come on, there probably will be at some point throughout your webinar, just laugh it off and make a joke of it, because it happens, and it's normal. And you could say something like, how are we gonna link health records across the country when we can't even present some PowerPoint slides? So just sort of make a joke of it. Post-event, there's not a lot for me to tell you within the event itself, because you've done all the planning and you've just got to sit back and allow it to happen and enjoy it. Post-event, really important, particularly for reflection and learning. So organise a debrief with you and the co-organisers. It's really good. Be honest, be brutally honest. What would you have changed? What worked? What didn't work? What was challenging? Because it's all learning. You've got an opportunity to trim and crop and publish these recordings as videos. You've got lots of thank yous to send out. Get the feedback, the survey results, and learn, reflect, and promote in a future one. Thank you to everybody. So thanks for joining. You were one of 300 people from across the globe. We had people signing in from Japan and Australia. And all the recordings are now available on YouTube. A reminder, if you want to feedback, because we're always trying to constantly improve our webinars, here's the link. And here's a list of our upcoming events. So it's an opportunity for you to promote your next lot of stuff. Follow up with the speakers. Thanks again. You were amazing. Your talk was brilliant. We really loved it, and emphasise how fantastic it was and they were, and give them some facts and figures and say, here's the recordings. And then a post-event report is always good. So again, title and date, what were the speakers and the topics, how many people registered, how many people joined, and the total number online at any one time is not necessarily the total number that joined. So, on Zoom, it'll say we've got 111 people, but when you actually look at the stats afterwards in the settings, in the reports function, you've probably had more than 180, although it was only 111 at one time, because people dip in and out, and that's what you find. And summarise the evaluation. Learn from the feedback when organising your future webinars. News articles, social media. So it's an opportunity to promote what happened. So you can draft a news article, summarise the events, talk about the facts and figures again, get some quotes from the speakers, and promote your next event. So you can do a news article, publish that on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or whatever you do. So I'm going to now go show some examples of a webinar that we've recently organised. So this is our event page. We're lucky that in HDR UK Midlands we've got our own website. You may not have for your programme. That's not a problem. Get in touch with the college comms teams. They'll be able to do an event page for you. But here's our event page. So it's health inequalities and diversity in health data science. So you've got the date and time. You click the register now link. That'll take you to the registration form. So the Google form. I use Google form. So here's the event, here's the title, this is when it is, and I want to know who you are, job title, organisation, email address. And this bit's important. Am I happy for HDR Midlands to add my details to the mailing list and keep me informed about future events, yes or no? Because then if they say, yeah, you can add them and you can legitimately keep it. And then there's a University of Birmingham privacy statement that you should add as good practice as well. So that's the registration link. The agenda, I'll run through the agenda for this particular group for this thing with you. So webinar agenda, it's got welcomed by our directors. We had a keynote from one of the directors of HDR UK. And then we had our main session, which had a chair and then a number of different talks from different people. Then we had a break. Then we had a next session, which was diversity, and we had a chair. And we had some more talks, and then we had a third session, which had a chair, and then some talks around training and development. And then we had a summary, next steps kind of session, just a quick recap of the day. And then there's a speaker biography session. So you've got their pictures and who they are. So that's the agenda or the programme for the day. And that was, we sponsored it or had it supported by Midlands Innovation Health. Going back to our event page, so join us for the event. It's on this day. These are the highlights. Register via this link. You put the link with a link in there. Put your sponsor logo. Meeting slides. You can have a button with all the slides. You got a post-event report, which I'll click. So here's the event report. 300 people was the capacity. We had 314. You can go over a bit because you know you're going to get some dropouts, but the number attended was that. And then I've got some of the feedback. So how well was the event? Good, excellent. Got a word cloud. I use SurveyMonkey for this, but that's kind of some of the that was the post event. And then I did a news article for the event, which was Midlands Health Inequalities and Diversity Webinar achieves a global reach, because we had 300 people from all over the world. And then I've got explaining all about it, and I've got a quote from our director. So that was what I did, and there's a list of all the people who spoke at our event. Going back to our event page, what I did post-event was YouTubed all the videos. So cropped them, trimmed them, YouTubed them, and then embedded them into the web page. So all these are live videos. So anybody who missed the event can come back and see the recording. And you can click a link and get their PDF of their meeting slides. There we go. So yeah, so that was the event page. So where am I? Let me go back to my presentation. So there's some useful links here for you. The Zoom, URB Zoom, they have lots of Zoom links, how to use Zoom video conferencing, and then Zoom have useful documents as well. I just wanted to say it's a team effort. It's not all about me, although I've been critical to putting these on. My colleague Alice, who's one of the directors at HDR UK, the national team, it was me and her putting on all these learning events during COVID, which is we've learned from each other, we've learned from our experience. And more recently, Alex, who sponsors a lot of our events, she helps me with pulling them together and co-pilot behind the scenes on the actual day. So it's not about me, it's a team effort, and you need to pull together to work as a team make a successful event. So thanks to both Alice and Alex for their input into my learning, for me to be able to share my learning with you guys today. And on that note, I think I'll finish there. So thank you very much, everybody.